Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. And thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. I put all these videos together so you all will absolutely understand that there are some certain things that we absolutely need to do because it is really very vital. A lot of people keep telling me in the comment section that don't tell me who I am not telling anybody, and I will never force anybody to go and do something like he or she does. I do not even have that power. I hope you understand that. But the best I can do is to enlighten some of us to understand that there are some things we do that will also impact our community, or at the same time impact people very close to you. You all know that if the other person, peradventure, becomes the president, you all already know that Obamacare will be struck out, and you know what Obamacare does. It might not affect you, but it will affect people very close to you, your parents or your grandparents, and all that. And also, it seems like some people do not understand about this project 2025 that is a thing. The best I can do right now is to encourage every one of you to vote and make sure you vote right? Because it is your duty as a citizen. It's all your rights to go out and vote, right? And then I am also going to tell you all this. For those that keep saying that I am also going to pay Kamala Harris back or for not being active when it comes to things that is going on in Palestine, or saying that because Black people supported her for that reason, I am not going to vote for her. I hope you understand that this is now between freedom and any other thing. Let's get into this video.
Everybody get out and vote. Do not let this racist motherfucker ruin our nation, take us back to another Jim Crow era. This is the most important election probably, I don't know, since Abraham Lincoln maybe. This election, the future of our country is on the ballot. Our democracy, our constitution. There has never been a more greater threat to America than Donald J. Trump. Never. The man is extremely dangerous. As you all know, he's threatened many things in our Constitution, our democracy, and our way of life. He's a fascist. Get out and vote. Don't trust the polls. Polls are usually wrong. Please get out and vote. Most states right now are having early voting. Most states and everywhere in America. If not, there's also mail-in ballots. Please get out and vote. Do your part for our democracy and to prevent this racist motherfucker from taking us backwards. Thank you.
I understand that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. I am one of them. While Israel had a right to defend itself against the horrific Hamas terrorist attack of October 7th, which killed 1,200 innocent people and took 250 hostages, it did not have the right to wage an all-out war against the entire Palestinian people. It did not have the right to kill 42,000 Palestinians, two-thirds of whom were children, women, and the elderly, or injure over 100,000 people in Gaza. It did not have the right to destroy Gaza's infrastructure, housing, and healthcare system. It did not have the right to bomb every one of Gaza's 12 universities. It did not have the right to block humanitarian aid, causing massive malnutrition in children and, in fact, starvation. And that is why I am doing everything I can to block U.S. military aid and offensive weapons sales to the right-wing extremist Netanyahu government in Israel. And I know that many of you share those feelings. And some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war? And that is a very fair question. And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. In the Senate, in Congress, the Republicans have worked overtime to block humanitarian aid to the starving children in Gaza. The president and vice president both support getting as much humanitarian aid into Gaza as soon as possible. Trump has said Netanyahu is doing a good job and has said Biden is holding him back. He has suggested that the Gaza Strip would make excellent beachfront property for development. And it is no wonder Netanyahu prefers to have Donald Trump in office. But even more importantly, and this I promise you, After Kamala wins, we will together do everything that we can to change U.S. policy toward Netanyahu. An immediate ceasefire, the return of all hostages, a surge of massive humanitarian aid, the stopping of settler attacks on the West Bank, and the rebuilding of Gaza for the Palestinian people. And let me be clear, we will have, in my view, a much better chance of changing U.S. policy with Kamala than with Trump, who is extremely close to Netanyahu and sees him as a like-minded, right-wing extremist ally. But let me also say this, and I deal with this every single day as a U.S. Senator. As important as Gaza is, and as strongly as many of us feel about this issue, it is not the only issue at stake in this election. If Trump wins, women in this country will suffer an enormous setback and lose the ability to control their own bodies. That is not acceptable. If Trump wins, to be honest with you, the struggle against climate change is over. While virtually every scientist who has studied the issue understands that climate change is real and an existential threat to our country and the world, Trump believes it is a hoax. And if the United States, the largest economy in the world, stops transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel, every other country, China, Europe, all over the world, they will do exactly the same thing. And God only knows the kind of planet we will leave to our kids and future generations. If Trump wins at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, he will demand even more tax breaks for the very richest people in our country while cutting back on programs that working families desperately need. The rich will only get richer, while the minimum wage will remain at $7.25 an hour, and millions of our fellow workers will continue to earn starvation wages. Did you all see the recent Trump rally at Madison Square Garden? Well, I did. And what I can tell you is that as a nation, as all of you know, we have struggled for years against impossible odds to try to overcome all forms of bigotry, whether it is racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's homophobia, whether it's xenophobia, you name it. We have tried to fight against bigotry. But that is exactly what we saw on display at that unbelievable Trump rally. It was not a question of speakers getting up there disagreeing with Kamala Harris on the issues. That wasn't the issue at all. They were attacking her simply because she was a woman and a woman of color. Extreme, vulgar sexism and racism. Is that really the kind of America that we can allow? So let me conclude by saying this. This is the most consequential election in our lifetimes. Many of you have differences of opinion with Kamala Harris on Gaza. So do I. But we cannot sit this election out. Trump has got to be defeated. Let's do everything we can in the next week to make sure that Kamala Harris is our next president. Thank you very much.
If you watch our present so-called president, he spends most of his time either in his child or his parent ego state. He never gets into his adult ego state unless he's reading off the teleprompter. And he is such a poor reader that oftentimes he makes mistakes and then he is instantly in his child ego state right in front of your very eyes. It's absolutely fascinating to watch it happen.
Speaking of our president, a lot of people say that racism has risen under him.
Anybody who doesn't say that hasn't been paying attention. It absolutely has. The kinds of things that are being said in this country today are things that he has said for the last 2 years. He has said them publicly, and he got elected because he said them publicly. We have a group of people in the United States of America who were in response to 8 years of a black man in the White House and the possibility that they might have from 4 to 8 years of a woman in the White House will elect anything that walks and can chew gum at the same time. Last election, as far as I'm concerned, was a direct response to having a black man in the White House for 8 years. And it's time to change the White House to the President's house. This is ridiculous to call the place where the President of the United States States lives, the White House. It sends the wrong message. I remember when Richard Nixon said to a group of reporters, "I'm trying to save the White House for you white people." That says it all. And at that moment I thought, well, wait a minute. Now this is something that has to be changed, and it has to be changed. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. It's time to change the name of the White House to the President's House or the President's Residence, which has a nice ring to it, don't you think?
Let's just say that President Trump is trying to bring the country together like he said he would do. Wait a second. He's trying to bring the country together. How would he go about doing that?
Resign. If he really wants to bring the country together, all he has to do is resign and take his, with him, the second in command, the vice president. That would bring the country together. But right now, the only way he can bring the country together is put somebody else in the president's office. He does not know how to be a president. He does not know what legislation is about. He does not know how to do this job. He didn't intend to get this job. And had it not been for the Electoral College, he wouldn't have this job. Mrs. Clinton won the popular vote. The only reason we have this person as the president of the United States right now is because the members of the Electoral College didn't do what that Electoral College was designed to do. Thomas Jefferson designed that to make sure that no one who was unfit for that office would ever be elected president of the United States. The Electoral College last year absolutely defeated that.
You criticized President Trump.
Did I?
One thing that a lot of people have criticized former President Obama on was not speaking out on race enough. Do you think he failed in that?
What if he had spoken out enough on race? Imagine what would have happened to him. The man is still alive. Do you remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Do you remember Malcolm X? Do you remember all those people have been killed not because of the color of their skin, but because of the fear of white people that someone who isn't white is going to look better, sound better, act better, do better than they do? Mr. Obama was the president of all of us. He wasn't just the president of black people. He was the president of all of us. The man who's there now is and claims to be the president of the people who look like him. When he says, "Make America great again," what he's really saying is, "Make America hate again." And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women, they evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. As people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. You don't really want to get me started on this because
I do want to get you started.
I'm really angry about how we are miseducating the American.
Your favorite bad bitch with a law degree back at it again, bullying all of you undecided voters. I have several talking points for you all today. Oh, well, I'm too progressive to vote. I believe that both sides are bad. Congratulations, you have acknowledged something that all of humanity has known for all of time, all of history, all of recorded millennia. Would you like a cookie? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. With some of you super progressive, super leftist type folks, the only times you vote are in presidential elections every 4 years. So if I were to examine your voting record, the last time you voted was probably 2020, if that. You all don't care about your local elections. You don't care about your school board elections, your district court elections, zoning regulations, propositions that are presented at council meetings. You don't go to town hall meetings. You don't go to local council, city council meetings, excuse me. You don't know the name of your local elected representative. You probably don't even know what political party your mayor is part of. You don't know the name of your district manager, your city manager, etc., etc. You don't know your neighbor's name. You can go to your neighbor to ask them for a cup of sugar. But you're so super duper progressive and leftist that the only time you actually care about trying to introduce progressive leftist policies into American political theater is every 4 years at the presidential level. Be so fucking for real. I've also noticed that there's this uptick of people who are saying that they're not going to vote because they're proud that they're not going to vote, or that they don't like either political candidate, which is such a fucking farce. As I've mentioned before, the people who are saying this, especially people who are saying this online and in these online internet communities, are contrarians who have nothing better to do but to be contrarians. They don't get attention from anyone online in social media spaces or in real life because they have nothing valuable or unique to add to popular social discussions, or to add to pop culture, or to basically diversify any hot takes for trending topics that are always going around. So the only time they get attention, the only time they get validation, the only time they receive people's energy to argue and debate with them is when they're being completely and utterly contrarian. And the only way they can be contrarian during a political cycle is by bragging about how they're not going to vote. You are not that interesting. You don't do politics, whatever. I can assure you politics is doing your ass, okay? Because you know who does vote? Your racist manager at your job who keeps a close eye on employment and labor laws, so they know just how much racism or sexism they can impute onto you. They know just how much they can pay you or not pay you, because they keep a close eye on local labor and employment laws, right? Your landlord, who is also a slumlord, keeps a very close eye on local propositions and policies that impact how much they can charge you for rent, when and how they can increase rent at random without notice, when and how they can and cannot maintain the property that they're overcharging you for, that you live in as a fucking feudal fucking servant, and they're the fief lord or whatever. Those are the people who pay very close attention to politics, because they understand a very simple thing that you refuse to accept because you do not want to accept just how powerless you can be. Those people understand that politics is power. Votes are power, okay? Politics and real politic is power. And the people who pay attention to that and understand that and accept that and use that to their advantage are the people who run things and get shit done. Those people pay attention to politics. Those people do politics because politics does them. They understand paying attention to politics puts money in their pocket. They understand that paying attention to politics gives them power over others. It gives them capital. It gives them resources. So while you're sitting over there, oh, I don't do politics, etc., etc., they're just looking at you, nodding and smiling and laughing, and oh, okay, well, that's how you feel, sure, whatever, knowing good and goddamn well the less you do politics is the more they can do you. Oh, I don't do politics. I don't get involved with politics. Politics is getting involved with your ass. You know who would have loved to do politics? Do you really want to know? Your enslaved ancestors would have loved to do politics. Those same enslaved ancestors who, under the law, were not even allowed to learn how to read and or write, motherfucker. Your cockeyed grandma who cannot leave her husband, who was knocking her head between the motherfucking washer and dryer because she couldn't even have a bank account in her name, much less a loan in her name. She would have loved to do politics. The same grandpa who was knocking her cockeyed grandmother's head between the washer and dryer would have loved to do politics because he had to go work in a fucking coal mine or a plant with no regulations, no safety requirements, no labor laws to protect his wages or to protect his benefits or to require that he even receives benefits. He would have loved to do politics. The people around the world who are subject to America's imperialist policies, who are hoping and praying that the person whom we elect next week is not going to be a dictator who will turn every single country on this planet to glass because he has nuclear codes that he can use at will depending on his mood. They would love to be doing politics here in America while you're sitting over there saying you don't do politics. Politics is doing you. So, do something for once in your pitiful, sorry excuse of a life. Since you like attention so much, you know where you can really get attention? Town hall meetings, local city council meetings. You can get attention reaching out to your local elected representative, your mayor's office, finding out who your district manager is, your city manager is, who is the tax collector in your city, who's your city treasurer, because those folks preside over property tax foreclosures, right? Who is that person? That would get you all the attention that you're looking for. I'm sure that you have something unique and useful to add to those discussions, right? So here's what you are going to do next week, by or on November 5th. You are going to take your sorry ass to the polls, and you are going to stand in line and or mail in your ballot, and you are going to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because that is the only worthwhile thing you can do in your sorry, pitiful excuse of a life, since you want so much fucking attention. And to get the attention that you're so desiring by being such a motherfucking contrarian, you can take your I voted sticker after you're done voting and post a selfie with it. There's the attention that you want. Again, you don't do politics, and politics will be doing your ass no lube.
So this is all I got from this video, and I have been saying this for a longer time, the importance of over voting, especially this election, cannot be overemphasized, and I really do hope that people listen. I hope that the power is all in your hands. It's either you vote and you don't vote, but we are encouraging you. I am encouraging you to go out there and vote. You have heard all they have said. I'm not sure most of these are new to you. They are absolutely something that I have said here over and over and over. And I see all your comments. For those that think I do not see, I see all your comments. The only thing I do not see is the faces of the people that drop the comments. But the ones that I have known so well, that have pictures, I know them very well. Like I don't know them like in person, but there are some people that have picture on their profile, this thing that when they drop comment, I know who is talking and who is not talking. The best I can do as a person that really cares is to let you all go out and like encourage every one of us or every one of you to go out and vote. I see those that keep telling me that I would rather be a mega for like forever and ever, which is absolutely good. I do not have any problem with people's political view. I mean, that is your choice. I mean, but you all already know that a lot is at stake this time around. And your freedom is very important for those that do not know, right? Do not take away, do not be selfish and say, because this is going on, and for that reason, I am not going to exercise my civil right or exercise my right as a human being by voting. No. Or say, because Black people did this, or because these people did this, for that reason, I am not going to vote for this person. It is beyond this. Do not be emotional. Do not put sentiment first. I want you to sit down as a person and think about it, because some people, I don't want to start Palestinians said that it would be very bad for them to vote for Kamala Harris. But I am telling you that if you sit down as a person and think about it, the reality is that the other person wouldn't have done something really super great for people over there, right? And the fact that some people really do not understand some certain things, especially when it comes to this stop ceasefire and all that. I remember some month ago when I brought here that they are really working so hard to stop the ceasefire. And then at some point, the prime minister, who is Netanyahu, actually said that, had a discussion with Donald Trump, right? And the discussion was like, there is no need for us to stop this right now, because if we stop it, it means you are giving them so much edge over me. And it means that people are going to absolutely for her. Why? Because of that. So since then, if you all only, you heard what the man said. The truth is that Netanyahu is also the problem. So when some people are being angry with Kamala Harris, first of all, be mad, be angry at your president, because your president is actually the one that should be very, very eager to call for ceasefire and work towards it. Then I also understood that they are working towards it, but some people are also trying as much as they can to make sure that they do not succeed. All these are the things that you sit down and think of, right? And then you ask yourself, is this going to work? Will it be worthwhile? Because in the end, things will be harder than it is. I see a lot of Black MAGA, I see a lot of Black conservative out there. I really do not have a lot to tell you why, because you have heard, you know what is good from what is bad, and I am not judging anybody, and I am not telling you do not vote for this person. If I do it, I am probably trying to be, I don't know, but yeah, right? But the only thing I can say is that I hope what you are doing will benefit other people, right? It's beyond stimulus check. It's beyond $1,500 stimulus check. I am not saying $1,500 stimulus check is not $1,500 is not money, or it's not a lot of money, especially in this economy that things are already pretty very bad, right? I understand, but it's beyond that $1,500, the check and all that. When you have children, imagine if peradventure you get married. See, this thing, I don't know if you understand that this thing is not all about race or anything this time around. Now, this is all about freedom, right? Got nothing to do, because whatever affects eyes absolutely gets to the nose and other parts, all the senses organs, especially the face and all that. I want you to know, even if you are, example, if you are a Black man married to, let's say, Asian woman or a white woman, right? the possibility of that woman also going through it during childbirth, especially when it comes to D&C, the risk is also high, because I have also seen videos of people, especially women, who also did not have the privilege to get when D&C, right? When they saw that they are like literally passing out and nothing could be done, right? They allowed them pass out. Why? Because in some states, the law there, it's really not good when it comes to that. And they ended up dying, right? So all these things are the things you see. Sometimes it is not about you. Some certain times, sit down. Like I keep saying, put emotions. Like, stop being sentimental about some certain things. I also want you to know that your siblings or people, cousins, people with your daughter, also people really very close to you, might also be harmed in situations like this, right? So I hope you all sit back and think about this and understand that there is need for us to, like, do the right thing. Also, for those that do not know, I hope you all also know that immunity to the corpse is just something else, and there is no community being policed more than people that look like me. Our communities are over policed, right? And then at that aside, then we talk about Obamacare. You also know that Obamacare will also be struck out. That Obamacare, you might actually not be the one benefiting from it, but there are some of your parents or your grandparents might actually be the one benefiting from it. So when you also vote against people, against their own interest, it also means that responsibility will be more than you expect it. A lot of people have not even, like, sat down to think about it, think about Project 2025, that are that huge 900 and something notes, that it's really something that will also affect people. And you all already know how bad, if something, now let me say that if something is going to affect people that look like this, especially you can imagine how it will impact us also. So I hope all this that I put together to talk to you, we kind of make you have a change of mind, and I hope things get better. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.